Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary Chris, and for today's video, I will be reacting to Democracy Now! Whilst putting on my makeup. I will be doing a different segment for their Friday newscast, which was yesterday. They had their Friday show, their news show. I don't know. I can't talk apparently. I think I need more coffee. Anyway, so I did this video before, which I was practicing, and I friggin' loved it. Because I love watching the news anyways to begin with. So this is like absolute perfection of an idea for me. I enjoyed watching it. And what I will do this time, however, is just to let you know, I will be doing my commentary at the end. I will try to stick to one segment of the newscast, which is today is August 4. So it was yesterday, August 3, where the news was. I love to keep up with the news. Yes, it's friggin' depressing, and you're probably gonna see like I'm so cheery and happy, and it will go down. I will try my best not to, but I really get so attached to the news, and I'm too empathetic, I think. So anyways, let's get to it. I will, when you see me on my next clip, I will be leaving more space on this side for the news, and I will be doing my brows. I don't know how far along I'm gonna go with my makeup. I guess we'll both find out at the end, but I will definitely have my commentary at the end. I just don't, when I'm watching something, I don't really want to interrupt it because I want to listen to what they're saying first before I give my points. So let's get to the video.
Freedom is Free by Chicano Batman here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. As we go to Texas, where Mexican journalist Emilio Gutierrez Soto and his son Oscar have been released from ICE detention after being jailed for 7 months. Gutierrez Soto first sought asylum in the United States in 2008 after receiving death threats for reporting on alleged corruption in the Mexican military. He was detained in December, only weeks after he criticized U.S. asylum policy during a speech at the National Press Club. The federal judge who ordered his release questioned whether the Trump administration's detention of Emilio Gutierrez Soto and his son Oscar violated his First Amendment rights. Well, on Wednesday, I spoke with Emilio Gutierrez Soto in El Paso, Texas, and began by asking him how it feels to be free.
Gracias por la invitación.
Well, thank you for this invitation.
Un tanto extraño.
It's a little weird, having been 7 months and some days at the ICE concentration camp.
Nos sentimos un tanto extraños.
We feel a bit unusual. The way of life in that concentration camp
son sumamente duras.
Is extremely harsh. What the immigration authorities seek is to finish you off psychologically, and we're trying to resume our lives in liberty, in semi-liberty practically, because we continue to be supervised by the immigration authority, in this case, internal security through ICE.
And can you describe the conditions that you were held in? Were you held together with Oscar, your son?
Yes. My son and I, since we entered the concentration camp, we were always together in the same facilities. The conditions in that place are truly denigrating. Day after day, we need to deal with, confront security of officers who are hired by a private company and who lack the basic ethical concepts when it comes to respecting human rights. We've had to confront a situation where there is some presumed food, which was really practically garbage, in addition to being enclosed closed, where the barracks within have sanitary services and the shower, or toilet and shower, which causes constant contamination when it comes to internal development or any thought of pursuing intellectual development or of any sort of mental reflection in these places. These are really places in which there is an effort to totally destroy those who have the misfortune of reaching those places, destroying them both psychologically and physically.
Emilio, can you talk about why you were jailed in December? You had just been honored in Washington, D.C. In fact, I want to turn to your speech in October at the National Press Club as you accepted the National Press Club's John Aubuchon Press Freedom Award on behalf of Mexico's journalists. This is what you said then.
The exiles is a constant suffering and source of pain for our families.
Doña Impunidad no nos ha dejado de la mano.
Lady Impunity has not let go of our hand.
Mientras la justicia, Doña Justicia, se prostituye acompañada del Estado.
While Lady Justice prostitutes herself in the company of the government.
Los medios, para rematar la libertad de expresión,
to again kill the freedom of expression.
Quienes buscamos asilo político en países como este,
those who seek political asylum in countries like this, like the United States,
nos encontramos con la cerrazón de autoridades migratorias.
We encounter the decisions of immigration authorities
que regatean las leyes internacionales.
That barter away the international laws.
So, Emilio, that is you, Emilio Gutierrez Soto, receiving an honor from the National Press Club in October. You were then detained in December. Do you believe there was a connection between the two events?
Yo creo que sí, ha sido muy evidente.
I think so. It's been quite clear that after receiving a recognition of that nature and of that importance, we had a visit, a contact, supervisory contact visit from ICE, and immediately they put the handcuffs on us, took our photographs, and practically took us a few meters from the international border, the argument being that we were being deported when there was already a motion before the Court of Appeals in order to stop such deportation and so that we could continue our proceeding in liberty. What was attempted on that occasion was once again to cut short or to cut off my freedom of expression, a freedom which I have continued to exercise in Mexico and in the United States. I believe that the work of journalists is to speak the truth, to act with the truth, and especially to cast light on the truth for those who listen to us on the radio, those who read to us, those who see us or watch us on television. We journalists have a major commitment all around the world to do the best we can, carrying out our job honestly. I think that it was one more reprisal on the part of ICE. After having continued in an asylum request process for 10 years, ours has been the longest, most drawn-out, most tedious asylum process, and in particular the one that where we have put forward the most evidence before the immigration judge that we did not come to the United States looking for a green card. We came to save our lives, the lives which, for the Mexican state, turned out to not be important. So important has the work of journalists been in Mexico for the Mexican authorities that we have more than 125 journalists who have been assassinated in the last 10 years, and in respect of whom there is total impunity, both in my home state of Chihuahua as well as throughout the country. I feel that it was a major reprisal by the United States government on speaking out and demanding that international law in relation to political asylum be respected. These are laws that the United States has proclaimed and said should be accepted in other countries, but cannot be accepted as a moral claim or protest in this country, the United States.
Emilio, you have been detained during this historic period of the Trump administration imposing what he calls the zero-tolerance policy, where thousands of children were taken from their parents at the border. Still, hundreds of them, if not over 1,000, have not been returned to them. Parents either deported or sent to 17 different states. We don't know how many states children were sent to. You were watching this from your own detention. Were parents and children coming into the detention facility, the jail you were in? And what were your thoughts as a journalist and as a human being watching all of this unfold from behind bars?
Mire, es algo que particularmente me sensibiliza mucho.
Well, it's something that I feel extremely sensitive about. 10 years ago, my son and I came into this country, and the first, I found myself before an immigration officer when they asked us what did we have with us, and I said we had fear. After having been in a freezer room all day long, under conditions of below freezing, my son and I were transferred to a prison in Canutillo, and I was transferred to the prison in El Paso, Texas. We were separated, my son and I. My son, at the time, an adolescent. Today, when my son and I were locked up all this time, I've been able to see how my son survived the pain of seeing how his father was separated. The only moral support that he had in his incipient life. We have now once again shared the intense pain that affects thousands of families that have been separated by a stupid policy, a criminal policy that is being used against families. All they are seeking is just a grain of justice, the justice that is denied in our countries because of the predatory policies that begin in this country.
Es totalmente aberrante que Estados Unidos.
It's a total aberration that the United States, a Christian country, that its authorities have no idea whatsoever of what Christianity is, of what it means to love your fellow human beings. The separation of families is an aberration. We and my son, we experienced that wrenching experience during a 7-month period in 2008.
So, Emilio, now you are free, and you have been offered a Knight Wallace Fellowship at the University of Michigan. Are you able to go to Michigan from Texas? Will you be able to go to school? And is your son going with you?
We are hoping that the immigration authorities.
Somos una familia, mi hijo y yo.
Well, my son and myself, we are a family. And we have every intention to get to Michigan. We hope that in coming days, the immigration authorities, particularly ICE, will return to us our Social Security cards and the other documents that they confiscated from us that they did not give us a week ago. And we hope that with that, we'll be able to travel to Michigan and take advantage of this life opportunity and take advantage of this educational opportunity. And if possible, become fully engaged once again in U.S. society.
You were also in detention through the historic election of AMLO, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who will be the next president of Mexico. Soon after he was elected, the head of Homeland Security, Kristen Nielsen, the Secretary of State, Pompeo, the senior advisor to Trump, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, all went down to meet with the president-elect, with AMLO. Can you talk about his election and also what you see will happen and what this means for U.S.-Mexico relations?
Mire, México, a través de Andrés Manuel.
Well, look, Mexico through Andrés Manuel, well, I have followed his AMLO's political history, and I have felt closely identified with him in terms of the social policies that he has proposed. I believe that Mexico is going to draw a clear line vis-a-vis what Trump wants and what we need to do with Mexico. Mexico, in recent years, has practically been supervised and under the yoke of the United States. I think that's going to change. Even though Trump has had some ideas in those approaches to López Obrador, I feel that López Obrador, because of the social support that he has had through the ballot box, is going to be obligated to follow through with the country in respect of things which have been denied to us. I'm speaking specifically of social justice. There is a tremendous debt in terms of security. There's a huge debt in terms of health, education, and I think we're going to begin there. And among other very important things, our energy resources, which have been practically given away to countries like the United States and Canada through the North American Free Trade Agreement. We Mexicans need to reclaim our oil, our electricity, our hydrological resources, and especially our mining, which has practically been turned over totally to Canadian interests. We need to negotiate that. And I think that AMLO, López Obrador, has set those goals clearly, and he needs to follow through on them, because he has offered that.
The number of journalists who've been killed in Mexico since you were detained, I think the number now is 8. Journalists gunned down who face the fate that you were afraid of if you were deported to Mexico. Can you comment on the level of violence in Mexico and what you think needs to happen to address this?
La violencia en México la generó un presidente borracho como Felipe Calderón.
Violence in Mexico was brought about by a drunk president, Felipe Calderón, and then there was a corrupt president, Enrique Peña Nieto, who has presided over further violence. They have not had the intention of offering any justice whatsoever. Impunity is what has accompanied journalists throughout this time.
Estuvimos a punto de ser deportados.
We were about to be deported, and with that, it's practically turning us over to those who were looking for me to kill me, which is the Mexican army. The Mexican consulate in El Paso is an agency that is totally at the service of ICE. It does not protect the interests of Mexicans at all. The consul takes great pleasure in being friends with William Joyce, who's the field director of ICE. We Mexicans continue being aliens for those who are in charge of the consulate. And the consulate obviously works with the immigration services of Mexico and the customs services of Mexico, which are mostly in the hands of military officers. We were about to be put in the hands of our executioners with the nod of the consulate. This is something which caused me personally great fear, because I was practically, the life of my son was practically being put in the hands of the Mexican army, a life which has nothing to do with the work that I have done over many years in Mexico in my work as a journalist.
And finally, Emilio, what message do you have for people outside of detention centers? What should we understand about what's going on in the detention centers, what you call the concentration camps of the United States?
Creo que tenemos que sensibilizarnos.
I believe that we need to become more aware and to implement Christian values above all else, which have been at the foundation of the laws, regulations, and conduct of this nation. We have such a moral commitment on our part, particularly my son and myself, to raise awareness and foster greater solidarity among human beings as a way of strengthening our peoples, our education, and our social conduct. We have a lot of work to do still with churches, with students, with all of society in general. We have that commitment, and we intend to do so with whoever wishes to listen to this voice that speaks out as a form of free expression.
Award-winning Mexican journalist Emilio Gutierrez Soto. He's just been released from ICE detention with his son after being jailed for 7 months, released on court order. He's been awarded a Knight Wallace Fellowship at the University of Michigan and plans to move to Ann Arbor next month with his son. He can only go.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so that was absolute heartbreaking story of the Mexican journalist, Emilio Gutierrez Soto. And hopefully he will get his documents back so he can actually teach and contribute. And stories like him is not an isolated incident. These people who are coming from Mexico, Honduras, and other countries in South America are coming to the border, and it's not illegal. It's a legal thing for them to do, to come to the border and seek asylum, and then they can prove it. And there should be a process, and separating families is unacceptable. Filipino journalists in the Philippines do face the same problems of, I'm gonna look it up right now in terms of what's the rating. Philippines deadliest country in Asia for journalists in 2017. That is absolutely not good. So we need journalists to report the truth, to report the news, to speak truth to power. A journalist or a healthy a good freedom. You know that a country has its freedom where the journalists are free as well to report what is going on, the current events, the important things, the policies of the country. So those are my thoughts. I will follow up if he has any more news. I will link down Democracy Now! Down below in the description so we can all follow along. And the more we know about what's going on, the more we're educated and the more we can connect with our, you know, local activists and figure out like what we can do to help. I didn't even know that Canadian companies are taking over their vis-a-vis NAFTA on taking over their resources. That is sad. I will look more into that. But anyways, guys, if you like this kind of videos, please subscribe and turn that notification bell on so you will see my future videos, because obviously I'm not done with my makeup. What I usually do, I don't pause usually in between. I just continue on and listen to different kind of news. I listen to Ralph Nader Radio Hour as well, because sometimes it takes me longer. So I guess you will see what part I finished the look that I'm making, but this is how I like to put on my makeup. And then when I watched the other video, I was really like, oh, I want to do that again. So I will finish up the rest of this look and I will put it in the next video, and hopefully I will see you then. Let me know where your country you're from and let me know how the journalists are treated there. I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.